Agrometeorological roots of traditional vocations. Since we now have an idea of the agrometeorological conditions and agroclimatic environment in different regions of Asia, we should be able to derive and study the evolution of livelihood of the populace in these regions. Let us start at the very beginning. The modern usage of ethnic group reflects the grand mixture of external groups, immigrants and indigenous peoples in the industrial societies. Ethnic thus came to stand in opposition to national to refer to people with distinct cultural identities. The intermingling of ethnic races due to industrial and economic factors has seriously challenged the notions of sociological integration through media such as language, food and clothing. The concept of ethnic minorities, perpetuated by historical wars, economic divides, linguistic and cultural identities, has on the one hand created subcultures and a rich pluralism, and on the other, ethnic identities have led to wars, conflicts, socio-economic disparities and even political subjugation to the mainstream. Those races in Asia which can be traced to the Negrito group are the ones who have migrated from Africa after the continents moved post-Pangaea. These Negrito races have their descendants today in the ethnic tribes of the Andaman Nicobar Islands and a few other tribes on mainland India and in Papua New Guinea and far eastern Indonesia. These tribes have managed to retain their traditional lifestyles in synchronicity to their ancient environs. They are very familiar with the challenges of survival in dense, thick, wet evergreen rainforests, first in Africa and then as the continents moved in South and Southeast Asia. Thus, they have mastered the techniques of taming some harsh conditions and coping with them. They also know the wherewithal of harvesting Mother Nature's bounty in deference to her rules. Asia's islanders developed harpoon fishing as an efficient technique may be, but they also evolved a fascinating repertoire of recipes of locally available food resources. Yams that are bountiful in the tropical paradise islands are cooked and sauteed in coconut milk, garnished with medicinal herbs and seasoned with even more fragrant spices. The result is an aromatic assault that was irresistibly seductive to Occidental traders and naval officers coming to establish the foundations of their future empires. Simple, bland food made with locally available resources remains to this day the best example of sustainable living and livelihoods. The islanders are familiar with the change in the sea currents and spawning seasons for fish stock. Thus, they willingly defer to the suzerainty of Mother Nature. They know the antidote to indigestions and other food-induced disorders that may occur due to imbalance in nutrition intake. Coastal communities and those living near riverbanks are influenced by the contours and horizons where they live. Consequently, they carve out livelihoods such as boat making, oar making, fishing net weaving, making of harpoons with deer antlers, pottery and ceramics among others. Basket making, handicrafts, carpet weaving, best practices in shepherding, milking techniques among others are all traced to agrometeorological wisdom of ethnic groups. Grazing and shepherding have indeed become the traditional vocations of many an ethnic tribe in the Indian subcontinent. Other tribes are known for manufacture of tools and implements like grinding stones, mortar and pestle, pottery, among others. Pottery eventually evolved into making ceramic in China.